Spitfire versus Hurricane. This is one of the most asked, most argued, and most misunderstood comparisons in World War II aviation. Let's try and break it down. Let's start with the roles because this is where most of the confusion comes from. Hurricane was the RAF's first 8-gun monoplane fighter. It was designed in the 1930s based on a biplane structure so the engineers knew and understood roughly what it would do. It was rugged, repairable, and available in huge numbers. The Spitfire, meanwhile, was the cutting-edge machine. All metal, stressed skin construction, elliptical wing, extremely clean aerodynamics. It was always intended as a more advanced high-performance interceptor. So, from day one, they weren't really meant to do the same job. The Hurricane was the backbone, Spitfire was the specialist. Based on pure performance, the Spitfire wins, and fairly comfortably. It climbed quicker, it dived better, and it was faster at almost every altitude. But the Hurricane has its own strengths that do get glossed over. Thanks to its thicker wing and steadier gun platform, Hurricanes were brilliant at bringing down bombers. They could take huge punishment, they could hold their gun aim better, and they were very forgiving to fly. Now on to the big one, the Battle of Britain. The Hurricane did indeed shoot down more enemy aircraft than the Spitfire, largely because it took on the bombers, whilst the Spitfire handled the 109s. This partnership is what made fighter command so effective. You needed both. You take one away and the whole thing falls apart. In terms of development, this is where the debate does become a little bit more unfair. The Spitfire had far more room for development, with it being a much newer design. You go from the Mark I in the early stages of the war right the way to the end with the Griffin-powered Spitfires. It was faster and stronger and more heavily armed and keeping up with the very best German fighters, aside of course in terms of performance compared to the Me-262. The Hurricane, it did reach its peak rather early, with it being a slightly older design. So whilst the Spitfire evolved, the Hurricane did adapt. It became a night fighter, it became a tank buster, a ground attack workhorse. But which is better? If you're talking the Battle of Britain, the Hurricane did the heavy lifting. It did a lot of the hard work, but the Spitfire provided the edge the RAF needed to challenge those Messerschmitt 109s. If you're talking overall capability, it's the Spitfire. If you're talking reliability and serviceability, it's the Hurricane. If you're talking about which aircraft the RAF needed more in 1940, it's both. My personal pick is the Spitfire, but with absolute respect for the Hurricane. Tell me which one you think was better and why, and I'm always expecting disagreements in the comments.